Hi, I'm Karl Konrad. For the last 23 years, we have helped people obtain their dreams of residency for Australia. So if you're interested in living, working or studying here, then this channel is for you. We publish videos at least every Friday and quite often on Tuesdays as well. So if you don't want to miss them, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. Today we're going to explore the Western Australia State Migration Plan. There are two streams provided by the Western Australian Government for nomination for the 491 and 190 visas. These are the General Stream and the Graduate Stream. Early July, the Western Australian Government announced a new pathway under the General Stream. Previously, there are only 20 occupations eligible under this stream, which meant that unless you graduated from an Australian university, chances were very low. Now the General Stream has two occupation lists that you can access, totaling 154 occupations. It is a very significant increase from the disappointing 20 occupations it used to be. And this is fantastic news. The occupation list for the graduate stream remains at the same at 137. While once considered a difficult state, Western Australia's state nomination program is now looking more promising. Another great thing about Western Australia is that you don't have to already be living and working there to be eligible, unlike most other states. There are 3 occupation lists in total. The lists offer a good range across different types of professions. There are 2 lists in the general stream called Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. Schedule 1 is made up of health and medical related professions such as dentists, nurses and surgeons. Schedule 2 is more diverse with accountants, chefs, engineers, ICT professionals and more. The graduate list is for the graduate stream. Do be careful to use the right list for the stream that you're applying under. Not all occupations are eligible for both the 190 and the 491 visa, and it's marked clearly in the list. In addition, certain occupations are for regional work only. If your occupation is marked for regional only, then you must provide evidence of employment or a job offer that is physically located in the regional centres and other regional areas. The eligible regions also have postcodes 6041 to 6044, 6084, 6207, 6213, 6215 to 6537 and 6560 to 6770. You'll also notice that these lists have a status column which lists available or closed. You need to be sure your occupation is available to have any chance of selection. The link to the occupation lists are in the description below. If you're applying under the General Stream, you are either on Schedule 1 list or Schedule 2 list. The occupations on these lists do not overlap. Regardless of whether you're on Schedule 1 or Schedule 2, you will need to provide an employment contract in your nominated occupation or one that is closely related for at least 12 months from the date of your state nomination application. It must be full-time and at least an average of 35 hours per week. You can use 2 employment contracts to meet the 35-hour week minimum. Your salary must meet the minimum market salary rates. The business employing you must be genuine and operating, and the job must be performed by you, not contracted out to a third party. You must also not face any financial risk as an employee and be supported in your duties. If your occupation is in Schedule 1, you have additional requirements to meet. You need to be able to claim at least 5 points for work experience on the points test. This must be reflected in the expression of interest that you submit in Skill Select. Work experience must be post-qualification in paid employment and at least 20 hours per week. For tips on how to claim the maximum points you can through closely related occupations and through understanding when your work experience counts, watch our videos linked in the description below. You will need to have graduated from a Western Australian education institution. Your course must be at least a bachelor degree or higher, graduate certificate or graduate diploma, or a vet certificate 3 or above. You need to have studied at least 2 years, and you can make up these 2 years by combining different courses. You can include study at higher education course, a Vet Certificate 3 level course, and even a language program. For example, you can take 1 year graduate diploma, 6 months of a Vet Certificate 3 course, and then 6 months of an English program. The education institutions you have studied for those 2 years must be accredited. Western Australia has a list of eligible institutions, and you can find a link to that in the video description. You need to show evidence of living there while studying in WA. If your studies were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, you can count this period, but you must show evidence that you were enrolled as an onshore student in Australia. In addition to this, you will need to have any of the following: 6 months work experience or an ongoing job or a job offer. You will need 6 months of work experience in the last 5 years. You can have worked anywhere in Australia so long as your work was in your nominated occupation or an occupation that is closely related. Work experience must have been at the post-qualification, paid employment at least 20 hours a week and involve tasks that correspond to the ANSCO descriptions for your nominated occupation. You need to show evidence of your 6 months by providing employment contracts and payslips. Professional year programs and work placements do not count as work experience unless all the mentioned requirements are met. If you don't have 6 months of work experience, you are still eligible if you are currently working. You need to be in a job that will continue though for a further 6 months from the date of applying to Western Australia. Otherwise, you can show a job offer that lasts at least 6 months, that is to start within 3 months of your application. This needs to be in your nominated occupation or one that is closely related, and it must be full-time with at least 35 hours per week. Alternatively, you can have 2 employment contracts that combine to meet 35 hours a week minimum, and you will need to provide these contracts with your application. Western Australia will assess if your salary is within the range that is usually paid for your occupation based upon market salary rates. If the business employing you must be genuine and operating. If the job is actually being undertaken by you and not contracted out to a third party, and that you as an employee will bear no financial risk. For both streams, you need to be currently residing in Australia and must show evidence through lease agreement, utility bills, and so forth. If your occupation is under ANSCO Major Group Occupations 1 or 2, you must have proficient level of English and must have the English test results to prove so. Otherwise, you only need to meet the Immigration Department's requirement of competent English. You can find out your occupation groups by doing a quick search on the ANSCO website. Whether for prior work experience or showing an employment contract, Western Australia considers closely related occupations to be occupations that share the same first 4 ANSCO digits in their ANSCO code. You can watch our previous video on this topic by using a link in the description. Employment contractors submitted by an independent contractor or for self-employment do not meet the above requirements. Employment contractors submitted by a sole trader will be considered if the sole trader is not the applicant and all other contract requirements are met. Finally, you need to show evidence of sufficient settlement funds through bank statements or asset valuations. The current minimum amount of funds required is $20,000 for a single person, $30,000 for a couple, and an additional $5,000 for every dependent. You only need to submit your expression of interest on Skill Select. The Western Australian Government will be on the lookout for those and they will take it from there. Western Australia selects applicants based on this ranking system. Those on the general stream will be chosen by the highest test scores first and then the earliest expression of interest in. Those on the graduate stream will be selected first if they have a higher qualification, then by point score and then the earliest in. 75% of the quota for the graduate stream is allocated those with higher education qualifications, and the remaining 25% of the quota will go to vet graduates. If you are selected, you will receive an invitation to apply. and you will need to submit the application within 28 days. Once Western Australia approves your application, you receive an invitation from the Immigration Department to apply for your 190 or 491 visa. Don't forget that you need to meet all of the Immigration Department's requirements as well. To learn more about those requirements and of the 190 and 491 visas, watch our videos on them. The links are in the description. Need more help? We do Zoom, Skype and telephone consultations. You can make a booking at australiavisa.com or just pick up that phone. Follow us on Facebook. Remember to like our content and comment and share this video to support us in making more content, and do subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.